G'day everybody, it's Danny here from Botany Danny, a place where we talk all things plants. We sometimes go on some wild walks and we build some awesome terrariums. Today we're going to be using this drink dispenser with a wooden lid, and we're going to build a tap draining terrarium with an island theme to it. Let's see how this build goes. The other day whilst I was walking through Kmart, I kind of was looking around for terrarium inspired ideas, and I know your local department store probably has a range of different cooking containers and plastic containers that definitely serve as some pretty good containers for potential terrariums, but it wasn't until I walked down this aisle and saw this drink dispenser with a wooden lid for $20, and that's when it hit me. I thought, wow, I could use this to build a cool terrarium which kind of houses water-loving plants. And basically what would happen is that I would fill this up with water, and whenever I'd want to change the water, I'd just open the tap, drain the terrarium out, and then fill it up with some fresh water. I really love the wooden stand it comes with, and also the wooden lid, which has a rubber seal. So if I just wanted to leave the terrarium and allow it to kind of create its own ecosystem over time, I could just leave it. So for this build, we are going to need a variety of different pieces of equipment. We'll need some fly screen netting, which I'm going to use to separate the pebble layer from the soil layer. We'll also need some white hazelnut pot topper, which we're going to use to create our beach effect. I've even got a cool kind of basalty looking rock, which I think is going to make for some nice beachscaping. Grasses to kind of help accentuate the landscape and make it look a little bit more miniaturized. And most importantly, we have our tap drink dispenser, which is going to house our terrarium and our little islandscape inside. Oh man, it's going to be epic. I love how putting this drink dispenser here, when I empty it, is going to water all of the plants that are underneath it on this shelf. That way we don't waste any water. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to do is take this container and separate it from its stand, which we'll get back to later. The second thing we'll need to do is to place some stones at the base so that the water level is going to be right up where the tap is going to be here. We're going to be using some big pebbles first, just because they'll fill up the base a little bit, giving our terrarium bigger rocks that can also provide lots of little pockets for microorganisms and natural environmental bacteria to develop and grow. The size of the rocks themselves are going to take up space to help us elevate the water level to the right spot. We're now going to use these smaller pebbles to help fill in some of those crevices, creating more tinier pockets. At the bottom of your terrarium is super important because it's going to help drain and give somewhere for that water to go, because you don't really want all the water sitting and keeping that soil completely wet, because plants aren't always going to like super saturated soil, because it might block up some of the oxygen that can get into the roots to help them grow. Next up, it's time to cut out a circular mesh layer that's going to hold all the soil and keep it separate from the pebble layer. To go for a nutrient-rich potting mix that's going to provide long-lasting sustenance. Now, I don't want to fill it up too much because I want to make sure there's a little bit of height for the plants that are going to go in. What I thought I'd do is probably get this cool rock and start positioning it inside the terrarium. Now, I'm not quite sure how I'm going to get it to fit. So it turns out this is not going to fit. This one also doesn't work. This is one of my previous terrariums, and actually this one is growing really, really well. Look at the extra green shoots coming out of the little fern, and these are all just kind of propping up and enjoying the moisture inside. This little container I just bought from IKEA. So I found a variety of rocks that will definitely be able to fit inside. I find that it helps to lay all the rocks out on a separate dish first before putting them in, just so you can gauge how the perspective looks when it comes to the styling and scaping of the terrarium. Now, to get this kind of island look, I've kind of pushed all of the potting mix into the center, and on the periphery I'm gonna raise the water level so it looks like it's gonna be water surrounding the island. Now to test out some of the rocks. It's interesting. Ooh, this one's a bit tall. Maybe this one can go here. So what I'm going to do now is put the plants in the terrarium, but because the plants are quite large, I'll need to break them up and separate them first. I'm also going to look around my house for other little cool ferns or plants that could kind of accentuate and add to this landscape as well. Oh yes, that's what I like to see, a well-established root system. What I want to try and do is pull these apart so I can grab just the tuft of grass that I need. Got this piece here, make sure I get all the roots. These kind of will look like little palm trees. And I love using these grasses because they're easy to grow and very low maintenance. Detach one of these spiderets and try and propagate them in the pot as well. But when detaching the spiderette, you also need to see if there's any like external roots that kind of allows it to grow. Kind of look carefully to see if there's anything on here that you can use, like a shower inside a bottle. You can see that water at the bottom rising. So turns out I had to take out the rocks first, put in the plants, and then I'll put the rocks back in, just because the rocks were kind of getting in the way, and every time I tried to put a plant in, the rocks would fall over. I don't know, I'm still new at this. I'm now going to come over to my pond and grab a few of these cool micro ferns which are growing and thriving. Have a look at these beauties. How cool do they look? Now if you want to ever grab a bit of this, what you do is just grab one end, have a look for the roots, and if you can kind of pull them and detach them whilst retaining their roots, as you can see here, then you're definitely able to propagate that particular part of the plant. Now I don't want to get too much, but there is a tiny root structure on the end of that. The thing is with these ferns is that they love water. They can literally just soak up as much water, and if they've got a really good nutritious water source, they'll definitely start expanding and growing. Ooh, jungle. So I thought the glare outside was actually a little bit much. So I've kind of brought it indoors now, just so you can kind of see a little bit more of how it's progressed. Here's my kind of water layer, soil layer, my spiderette. Ooh, a little bit of drippage, I like. And then you can see the monoliths. And then I put a little bit of a fern from my pond and some little steppables as well. So I'm using this hazelnut pot topper, which is very suitable for terrariums, and I'm going to put it kind of on the edge of this terrarium to kind of give it more of a beach effect. So it's going to be tricky because I'm going to have to be really strategic about where the pebbles go. Part of this is making sure it goes into the right areas. Probably to prop this up with a little bit of pond water and then seal the lid and look after it as the years to come.
squishy little beach. Now if you really like what you've seen in this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to see more cool, amazing plant videos. Otherwise, this is Danny signing out, and I hope you really enjoyed the video. See you next time. Goodbye.